but it's not used in Roman law, and it's not used in Spanish either, because laicization means you are reduced to be a layperson, which means the layperson is always less. It's not right, and it's not right. It's not right. So, but it's a common, that word laicization and annulment. Those are common words in the English world, but they are not technically speaking very present. So the concept is dismissal from the clerical estate. So when a priest gets a decree of dismissal from the clerical estate, it comes in a form of a precept, because there are certain things they cannot do anymore. So it says you cannot teach in a college or on a Catholic university. You cannot teach catechism in a parish level. You cannot serve as a lector in the church. You know, all those. However, in the last few years, the precept has all those limitations, but at the end is this little phrase: unless your ordinary feels different. So they have softened. Before it was very tough and clear there, and now lately we have observed that every decree has that little phrase at the end of all those limitations. So if the bishop feels that no, this person in a way is going to be damaging to this particular institution, let him teach in a Catholic university or no, in a Catholic college.
What's the most common precept given by our diocesan?
I would say probably an individual decree. Probably this one, an individual decree, is the most common, because those individual decrees from the side of the tribunal, those communicates decisions of annulments, but also individual decrees communicate decisions of the bishop to people. So that probably the most common ones are the individual decrees, probably. Now, there are others. Now, dispensation. We have dispensation. So the dispensation. What is a dispensation? A dispensation is a relaxation of the law for a particular act. What is the most typical example of a dispensation? So a dispensation is a permission,
So like the hour before Mass, where you're supposed to fast, you can get dispensation not to have to follow that.
Meet on Friday.
I'm not thinking of those type of dispensations yet. So the most common dispensation is when a Catholic wants to marry a non-baptized person.
Oh.
So a Catholic cannot marry a non-baptized person. Cannot. However, the church can dispense that law in that particular case. So that is the most common dispensation, and we call it that a dispensation of disparity of worship. What happens if the act takes place without a dispensation? Then we have an administrative act that is invalid. So,
once they marry and no one can marry, isn't the sacrament valid even if they didn't do the paperwork? I mean, they screwed up, but.
So the sacrament itself is invalid if the dispensation was not granted. It's invalid if it is between a Catholic and a non-baptized person. It's just invalid. So from that moment, the couple has two options: or they convalidate the marriage by requesting the dispensation, or they go through the process of sanatio in radice.
What is that?
So, when you do a convalidation, you show up in front of a minister expressing the consent. When you do a sanatio in radice, you request the convalidation of the marriage through documents without presenting yourself in front of a minister. It's a canonical procedure.
So if if a Catholic marries an LDS person, that's almost always invalid.
Exactly. If they are married in the church, without a dispensation of disparity of worship, is an invalid marriage. So in order to have that marriage, the dispensation has to be granted prior to the marriage.
Does the priest just do that, or?
Exactly. So the priest or the deacon of the marriage minister preparing the documentation in the church request that in anticipation prior to the wedding. Yes.
Who grants? You get a physical document.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't be hearsay, it wouldn't be like,
No.
you would grant me.
It's
You
not,
have a
it's
document.
not oral. You have to fill up this
Okay.
this application form, and then it has certain, the Catholic has to sign, the non-Catholic has to be informed, and then all those documents are presented to us with all the prenuptial investigation. So that is something we will do.
For practical matters, from the time that the dispensation is requested to the time it's been granted, how long can that take?
Oh, if the documents are if everything is in place, they ask to us, and then we grant it the same day. It doesn't take a long. If there is something missing in the documentation, then we ask the priest. We always tell the priest, request your dispensations or whatever you need for marriages at least 30 days in advance. At least. But if it's just a simple dispensation, then you come a couple of weeks before to our office and then give us the document, or you send that in the mail. So it's that unless something is missing or unless something is irregular in the paper that we need to ask. For most of the time, those things go very, very, very fast. So we have talked about decree, rescript, precept, dispensation, privilege, instruction. Instruction is another decree, but it comes under the name of instruction. Why? Because it is a decree that clarifies something that has been given to us in a legal document or in another type of writing.
So the bishop would write this?
The bishop, instructions can be written by the bishop, but mostly the instructions come from the heads of the congregations in Rome. For example, they issue a document on the sacrament of marriage, or they issue a document on procedures. Then many questions come out after that. So then they write an instruction to clarify certain concepts, in that particular document. So the bishop can write an instruction.
If it's coming from Rome, does it become canon law at that point?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So we have this document. I don't know if you have heard. We have this document probably kind of 10 years ago called Dignitas Connubii, which clarifies certain procedures, in the Code of Canon Law. But it raised so many issues that then they have to write this other document that called Instruction about the Dignitas Connubii to clarify the terms, in that particular book. So now, so the instruction is a decree that clarifies something that had been said in a decree or in a writing. Now we have, okay, so let's see, dispensation or cessation. Well, cessation is a decree that comes especially when a priest is removed from a parish or a minister. So it's a decree of cessation. That means your ministry has finished in this parish. So it's basically a decree of removal, but then we call it a decree of cessation when you are removed from one church or one institution to another. Okay, do you want to take a little break now?
Yeah.
Are you getting tired? All right. Okay. Coffee.